Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. I'm your host, John Charisma, here as always. Me you guys, another Wizard101 video. Today, I'm going to just kind of do something, I guess, I mean, there's no, I don't script my videos, it's just extra time I don't honestly have, I just kind of wanted to talk while I play Wiz in the background, and the topic for today is what I want in Empyrea Part 2. So, I'm gonna go ahead and just mute this real fast. So, first off, before I talk about what I want in Empyrea Part 2, let's talk about how I feel about Empyrea Part 1. So, well, actually, I guess we should start with with those of you who don't know what Empyrea is. Empyrea is the newest world to come to Wizard101. It's not a short world, um, by any means, I guess. It's just, I feel it could have been, like, better, if you know what I'm saying. Um, Now, it is difficult. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. It is difficult. But at the same time, it's difficult to the point where it's not necessarily unplayable, but from the perspective of a soloer like me, it's nigh impossible to solo. Because basically, in my experience, what happens is people will go ahead and they'll be trying to get their friends in, and they'll be soloing with, they'll be teaming up with their friends, and it'll be awesomeness and all that. It's great. But I, from the perspective of someone who doesn't have many friends, find myself soloing more often than not. And honestly, admittedly, some of that's kind of by choice. What I mean by that is, I've been so used to being alone during my childhood, I've kind of adopted it into my playstyle of Wiz. And what I mean by that is, I tend to choose to play by myself, even if there are others around. Which is not a smart idea by any means, but I also believe that that is heavily affecting the way I, experience the game. Because it's not to be, this game isn't something that you just go through on a whim. It's not something that, it's not like a 2-hour platinum or whatever. It's not like Rocket League or anything like that. It's something that you gotta pay serious attention to, because it's something that doesn't really go away. Once you start up that character, it's there with you for pretty much ever until you decide, I'm done with this game. And looking back, the 10 plus years I've been playing this game, I still find myself in amazement that my childhood has evolved from being, well, my childhood, to the point where now this game is pretty much the only game I play. So, if it sounds like I'm getting a bit off topic here, I apologize. I just I just wanted to give you a bit of a background and how I kind of started Wizard101, which again, that'll be a separate topic for a separate video, but just a brief one, or maybe not so brief, depending on how you look at it, background of me as a WizTuber, or not necessarily a WizTuber, but as a Wizard101 player, as a dedicated veteran to series, or game, I should say, just whatever you want to call it, right? Um, So it's just with that in mind, I play Wizard101 a lot differently than most people. I don't really ask for help. I do ask for hatches, but it's not because I have friends to hatch with me. Now I have James, who you've seen in the Skype call from my uh, previous videos, but it's not really something that holds up over time. It's still something that, yes, it's amazing to have friends that play Wizard just like me, and it's amazing that they're as into it as I am, but it still doesn't change the fact that I've grown into this person that prefers to play solo. And when you look at that in the eyeglass of, well, that's a good idea, I guess, because less mobs will spawn when you're going into a boss fight, or however you may think to choose about it, however you may choose to think about it, you still are stuck with this overwhelming sense of loneliness, and it eats away at you. And more on that later, but really, it's sad because they'll constantly spam you with what I've seen, and my biggest trouble started with the boss Roomba. Not Roomba, Hoover. The fire boss in the sewers. And from there, it transformed into a struggle, and from a struggle, it transformed into an actual pain to play through. And from there, it transformed to the point where my entire deck setup and even gear setup was nothing besides fire hate. It was fire wards, fire resist setup, fire shields and prisms. It was nothing like I've ever done before for a single boss. And even then, I still got wrecked multiple times. And you could make the argument, well, that's just because you're bad at the game. And to an extent, that is true. I'm not claiming to be the best at Wizard 101. But at the same time, you could clearly as day see the point that there's always the chance that maybe I'm just not the worst at this game, and maybe that the game is slightly difficult towards the higher stages. Because what they'll tend to do, in my experience, is they'll spam Grand Phoenix, which is the 6-pip version of Phoenix, which for 1 extra pip from the normal Phoenix is a bit more damage, and it will also take that damage, buff it a little bit, and it will also put a minus, I believe it's a 45%. I could be wrong, but I believe it's a 45% smoke mantle on you, which absolutely kills you if you don't have accuracy. Now I realize that sounds dumb to say because who doesn't have accuracy nowadays, especially with the way gear works now, but my point still remains. It still is relatively difficult to get to the point where you're no longer fazed by having these problems. And most importantly, they'll spam it, and most in most circumstances they'll spam. Like, I'll give you a quick example of how a game would go. I would start off by going either first or second, of course, usually second because I'm lucky like that. And they'll start off with something kind of dumb, like a set shield for ice and storm, or ice and fire, or storm and fire, whichever one it was. Alright, just you know what I'm talking about. Okay? And that is kind of a worthless move when you think about the context of what it is. No, it was an ice and storm shield, yeah, not the fire shield. It was an ice and storm shield. So when you think about it, oh, that's kind of a worthless move because it's not a fire shield. Well, he has like what 80% resist to fire, so it doesn't really matter what fire shields, or even if he does put up a fire shield, for his sake, because he'll just resist through it. So, what that will mean is, let's just say I were to prism on that turn. My prism would go through before the shield was accounted for. So, it'd go prism first, and then since the fire had been converted to ice, it would also then go through to minus 70. Which is making it extremely difficult, so you always want to make sure that you prism first, and then go along with your plays, okay? But here's my biggest issue with that. It's almost impossible to do that when you're trying to conserve pips so that you can do the things you need to do. However, on top of that, you're just stuck. You're stuck in this perpetual cycle of, well, what do I do? How do I get past this? And the truth is, unless you have high-level friends, you kind of can't. You're just kind of stuck there. And this is where my biggest problem goes in. I don't have a problem with someone going in and first move they do is that, right? My problem is when they're spamming, when their first move is set shield into their Grand Phoenix, and then they'll Blade, and then they'll Sunbird, and then by that point they have 2 Shadow Pips, so they'll, what is it, Dark Nova, I believe the name of the card is, which, that alone, keep in mind, gives you a 40% Shadow Blade, on top of a 10% Universal Pierce. Or maybe it's Shadow Pierce exclusively, I'm not really sure. So what will happen then is, in my experience, because I have 25% universal resist on my fire, which is terrible, by the way, destroys me. It will do 3,267 points of damage. And that's a ton, because I have maybe 6,300. If you really want to argue, well, round up, fine, 6,400. However, that 6,400 really doesn't make that big a difference when you can, that 6,400 doesn't make a difference when you consider the fact that literally half of it is going away purely because of the fact that they decide to use one move. But don't forget the fact that they use the Grand Phoenix, which often will crit on me because I don't have block, because I'm smart like that. On top of that, it'll also, more likely than not, run through whatever else I may have planned. And of course, the Sunbird does mass as well. And my point here is that there's just no real way to get out of this. Because, again, it's nothing if not almost impossible for me. They make it to where it's so hard for me to go about the things I like to do, like playing this game, that it's almost unplayable for me. Which is great by design, believe it or not, because that means that they understand that the triple Mirage nerf was, I dare say, unacceptable. There was no need to nerf Mirage 3 times, even with it being as long as a world of it as it was. But it's just so annoying having to constantly go through set shields and just the most annoying things you could ever imagine. It really was so annoying. And that's kind of where I developed my, I guess you could say, hatred for this, because it got to the point where it wasn't fun. All that happened was I was sitting there trying my hardest, making up so many strategies, and making different deck setups and everything, just for it to end up being, sorry man, you're not going to get to enjoy yourself today. And it was day after day after day after day after day. And it was attempt after attempt after attempt after attempt. And it was just, it got to the point where I didn't enjoy the game anymore. So, hence why I stopped when I hit level 122 instead of playing through the max level cap, which is currently 125. Now again, this is great by design. It's great to have difficulty, because from a fan of the Dark Souls games, I appreciate a good challenge. But when something's half hitting you on top of that plus a minion that will stun you into a frost giant, it's just almost impossible to get out of. Not to now, I will say the first part, maybe up to Khan and Empyrea, was not that bad. That was just me on my first return to Wiz. Well, not my first return to Wiz, but my first kind of time back playing Wiz after maybe, say, a week break. Not because of anything that was going on in my personal life, but just because I just wanted to play some Dark Souls, you know? Just because I wanted to do other things. Just because I wanted to help my brother with his account. Just stuff like that. Because he'd always be asking me, well, why can't you help me with my account? And why can't you help me decide what pet's better? And I'm like, well, you know what? Okay, I can do that. So that's really where most of the time went. So some of that was just me getting used to some of the mechanics again. And admittedly, like I said, up to Con, it wasn't that bad. But it still wasn't really easy. So I guess what I'm saying here is, please, if you're watching this video, try your best to play with friends. Playing with friends is an enjoyable experience because you'll be talking to them on Skype or Discord call or whatever. And it's so fun. It takes away the time. It takes away the time. I guess I should say the presence of time, because the amount of time you'll spend just flies by when you're enjoying yourself with friends. And just talking with your friends is fun in and of itself. Not to mention playing a game you both mutually enjoy. It can be a great Friday evening, or even just an overall good game experience for you guys. So basically what I'm saying here is, whatever you do, don't make the same mistakes I've made. I've made tons of mistakes in my life. But starting Wizard101... Okay. But starting Wizard 101... Starting Wizard 101 was most certainly not one of them. That being said, stay awesome, guys, okay? Have a great day. I've been your host, Dylan Charisma, signing out. See you guys next time. Have a good one.